Hey guys, I'm Meg Knappenberger. Art Storefronts asked me to pop in for this Ask a Mentor number 3. I'm going to do my best to go through and kind of batch together your questions and answer them. So the first one was how to do it all, how to do it with kids, how to do it when you're working full-time. Yes, so I will answer this first with like basic logistics, and then secondly kind of in the more like emotional business side of it. So my logistics are I work full-time as a painter. I work in a studio space outside of my home now. That's new as of this year. And my kids, who are 4 and 6 months, go to daycare and to school during the day. So I am not trying to parent and paint at the same time. That's incredibly hard. Anybody who's doing that, like, major props to you, because I know it's like impossible to do anything, you know, even go to the bathroom by yourself. So that's really hard. So my husband also works. We both, you know, contribute together to our income, and we split our parenting duties pretty equally. So I'm, you know, really grateful to have a partner who I, you know, do things pretty half and half with, I should say. So anything that I do sort of personally, like, you know, from a more like emotional standpoint of it, like how to keep it going when I'm like exhausted and sleep deprived, and, you know, running kids and a business and a family and all that stuff. You know, any like exercise that I do, any meditation, stuff like that, I actually do during the day while I'm working. It's hard for me to find time for that in the morning and at night. So I've really had to allow myself to give the same amount of time to the things like that I need, and let them be as important to my paintings as the actual time I'm painting. I've found that those two things really are inseparable for me. And when I drop off that stuff and just try to like hustle painting, I always like crash and burn. So I've found I really have to prioritize taking care of myself to make the whole thing go. So especially coming back to work in April, after my daughter was born, there were a lot of days where I just came in and worked until like 2 in the afternoon, and then I would go home and just have to sleep for a couple hours before the kids got home, just to catch up, because my daughter was not taking a bottle, so she was just eating all night. So, you know, it's like you have to take things a day at a time. That's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to do my best to do, you know, focus on the most important thing every day, and really just prioritize and like super narrow things down to like what has to happen today. And I have to let things go constantly, because there's, you know, I don't always have enough time or energy to get things done. So it's just like keep moving forward, keep going in the right direction. So people were talking about, I know this is like a huge thing for working a full-time job and wanting to leave that job and pursue your art career full-time. I totally get that. I was there. When I did it, and I will just talk from personal experience, I'm not going to suggest that anyone does this also, but I was running a design and branding business, and I had to close that business for a health reason. I had a bad back injury, and I did that and took a couple of months off. And when it was time for me to come back to work, I just didn't want to do it anymore, and so I closed that business and decided to pursue painting full-time, which was kind of insane. And I had a little bit of savings built up in my business to float me for a few months, and we had a little bit of savings to, you know, for a rainy day, and we definitely burned through all of that, which that was my worst fear. And we did it, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was totally scary, but it was there when we needed it. And for anyone who is listening to me thinking like, well, I don't have any savings, like, I totally respect that. And I think the biggest thing that people don't do when they want to leave is they either tread water forever, believing like, well, this isn't a real job, I can never make enough money, or they leap without really figuring out like the structure of what the business has to be. So my biggest suggestion, if you are like sitting in a job right now and really wanting to leave and figure out like how to make this work, is to get really specific about what you need. And I'm talking like specific numbers. How many weeks do you want to work in a year? How much money do you need to make? Divide that up, and then look at the numbers and start figuring out like what are your expenses going to be, and how much work do you need to sell to make that work? And are there ways to supplement that? Do you need to take on maybe just like a part-time job to make it work in the interim? There's a lot of different ways to do it, but I would suggest first, like, really look at the numbers. It can be kind of scary, but that helps a lot. It makes a big difference.